Today I'm gonna tell you the story of how I 100% Ellender's Cataclysm in Minecraft. In order to 100% the game, I will have to fight the 8 bosses multiple times to get all the discs, all the blocks possible, and all the equipments, armor, and weapons from the mod, without any other mods that adds content. How hard it is? How long did it take? Watch to find out. And it started like any other Minecraft playthrough, in the middle of nowhere. After spawning in the savannah, I made some basic tools, and then I spotted a village that is weirdly above ground but also underground, and then I get some iron to make iron tools. Then on day 2, on my way to a shipwreck, I found my first Ellender Cataclysm's structure, the Cursed Pyramid. So I set a chest nearby to act as a temporary base. On day 3, I scouted the area for a lava pool without any success. Then I found 2 more shipwrecks with a treasure map, so I got a Heart of the Sea in the treasure chest, and I knew that I needed that for the Leviathan. On day 4, I finally found a lava pool, and then I made a portal to go in the Nether. Because my goal was not to rush Ellender's Cataclysm right now, this was for later. My goal was to beat the game as fast as possible to get the Elytra and some end city loot, effectively skipping all the grinding for diamonds and enchantments. Then I found a War Forest first, and I killed Endermen until day 5. On day 5, I got to 14 Ender Pearls, but now I needed a fortress for blaze rods. But instead of a fortress, I found a bastion. It was a stable bastion, and it was swarming with piglin brutes and hoglins, but like a moth is attracted to flame, I'm attracted to loot, so I got stuck in the bastion for the rest of the day. On day 6, I finished trading with the piglins in the bastion by being short of 1 obby, but I still left to find a fortress, and it was surprisingly really close. Then I got all the blaze rod that I needed to make the end portal. On day 7, I went back to the bastion to try to find the missing obsidian, so I mined some netherrack gold, and after a few barter, I got the last obby and made a portal on the bastion. On day 8, I followed the Eye of Ender to the stronghold, and when I dug down, I proceeded to get lost and said stronghold. But I found a chest with 5 diamonds in it, which is cool. Then I found a room, placed all my valuable in a chest, set my respawn point next to the portal, entered the end, and started the Ender Dragon fight. The fight lasted until day 9, and after beating it, I went into the gateway to find an end city and a rude citadel for the Ender Guardian. And I immediately found both. Then I proceeded to loot the citadel. On day 10, I finished looting the citadel, and holy, this place has some good loot. I was fully decked out in protection diamond armor with a diamond sword when I was done with the structure, so I broke all of the unique block, because don't forget that my goal is to collect every single thing from Ellender's Cataclysm to get 100%. Then I killed an Ender Golem, and I felt confident enough to start the Ender Guardian fight. The fight ended on day 11, and after collecting the loot, I made sure to have almost every block from the structure, but it didn't really matter because I'll have to come back here anyway to fight it again a few times. Then going outside, I noticed another end city, this time with a ship. And there was also another citadel next to it. So I pillared to the ship and got my Elytra. I looted some of the chests of the end city, but not all of them, because I want to get back with better gear. On day 12, I decided to come back home, and in the end, I always make sure to not look at Enderman, of course, obviously. But I somehow looked at 4 Endermen, and thing almost went really bad. but I managed to escape, went through the gateway, and made a nether portal at the end portal. On day 13, I took some of the book from the stronghold and made my way to a village to start a small trading hall for emeralds and books. Then on day 14, I took the whole day to prep the villagers. And can I be honest, I hate moving villagers. They're so annoying and they never cooperate. On day 15, I finally got the villagers in a proper trading setup, and I got a villager breeding system working. So we can now have books, more villagers, and trading to enchant our stuff, because we're going to fight a lot. Then I made a portal at the village for an easy access to the nether. Getting mending almost took all of day 16, but I got it before the end of the day, so I went and get lapis and started enchanting stuff. On day 17, I finished enchanting all of what I could, and I found my way back to the pyramid. Then, in the nether, I dug for ancient debris, because I will need a lot of it, but mostly to make an Eye of Monstrous, because the structure itself of the netherite monstrosity has a lot of ancient debris. On day 18, I found 2 ancient debris, which is enough to make the Eye of Monstrous, because I wanted to beat the netherite monstrosity before the ancient remnant, but I forgot to bring an eye vendor, so I went back home, making a path in the nether so I can come back safely. But before going home, I found an azalea tree, which means there's gonna be a lush cave, and I need that to find an amethyst crab, but I also found a mangrove, and I don't know if slime can spawn in a mangrove, but I've looked for it during a thunderstorm and I couldn't find any, so I finally went back home. While returning home on day 19, I found a fortress along the way, so I got a bunch of blaze rods to make more eyes and other recipe for Cataclysm. And then finally back home, I made an Eye of Monstrous. On day 20, I flattened the spot where I would eventually put the Cataclysm Shrine of Completion, because you see, I made a spreadsheet to know all of the item I need, and surprisingly, I only need 9 chests to fit one of each item in Cataclysm collectible in survival. Then I got another mending book, and I started looking for that soul blacksmith. Then I realized I didn't make a shield, so I came back, and then went back, and then I found the soul blacksmith. On day 21, I looted the whole structure before fighting the monstrosity and gathered 6 ancient debris, and then I started the fight. The fight went surprisingly well. I was not really feeling in danger with the gear I had, but with that I could not transport the monstrosity back home if I wake it up, so I had to do the unthinkable. So it then drops into an item to bring it back home. On day 22, I arrived home and I sorted all of my stuff. Then I planted some netherwart for future potions, I added a farmer villager to the trading hall, and then I went to look for the Harbinger. On day 23, I found the structure even if I didn't have the Wither Star. There were some valuable that I needed the most, like slime for the sticky glove, and there's also 2 Wither Skull in the structure, so with the one from the Soul Blacksmith, I can now fight the Wither and then the Harbinger. But I did not mine any of the ore because I was still lacking fortune. So I went immediately out of structure and followed a cold biome in hope that I would find a frosted prison. I could have just made the eye, but after 2,000 blocks, I found the frosted prison. So on day 24, with the Smite for Gauntlet of Guard, clearing this place was a breeze. It got a bit dicey underground. But I managed to pull through. And having defeated everything, I opened the door and looted the whole thing before fighting the boss. So on the dawn of day 25, I decided to risk it all and fight Maledictus. But not before setting my spawn near. I was 4,000 blocks out. There was no way that if I die, I have to walk all this way back. And then I started the fight. I almost died at the end, so I had to eat my god apple. Cause turns out, I forgot to remove my elytra and did the whole fight with less armor that I was supposed to have. Then on day 26, I went back home, I sorted most of my stuff, and made one of, if not the best weapon in Elender's Cataclysm, the Soul Render. For a reason I'll explain later. Then, I finally fought the Wither. And oh my god, this thing is easy after fighting Maledictus. It's a joke of a boss. Then I made the Eye of Abyss. Even if I'm not ready to fight Leviathan, I had enough resources to do it. And then I went looking for another bastion because I was lacking the netherite upgrade to put my stuff in netherite and made the monstrous helm. And I found the exact one I was looking for, a treasure bastion. So I swiftly looted the whole bastion and found in the treasure room what I was looking for, a single netherite upgrade. But it's fine, we can duplicate it. I arrived home on day 27 and I duplicated the template, and I had just enough to do the monstrous helm and upgraded all my armor to netherite. But it went through all of my diamonds. Then I made a fire rest potion and went back to the Harbinger, now with fortune. Then on day 28 I fought the Harbinger, and this is where the Soul Render is really great. First, it has a base 15 damage, but mostly has a 2-block reach, which means I can hit the Wither constantly without missing. And it took less time to beat the Harbinger than the Wither. I'm not sure why. I crafted the Mechanical Fusion Anvil, and I made 3 Eye of Mech with the redstone from the structure, and I fought it 3 more times. But I'm glad I'm doing this video after they introduced the respawning mechanic with the eye, cause I would have to find another structure every time I want to fight the Harbinger or any other boss in fact. And luckily on the last kill I got the music disc, which means I am completely 100% done with the Harbinger. On day 29, I decided it was time to go for the cursed pyramid, and it took the whole day just to loot the damn thing, trying to kill as much Kobolithon, Kobolithiator, and Wadjet as possible to get all the loot possible. And then on day 30, I kept exploring the pyramid and falling into every single trap possible by accident, but I got all the gunpowder I needed to make rockets for a while, because some of the chests share the loot as normal pyramid, which means a lot of gunpowder. On day 31, I reached the inner tomb of the pyramid. I cleared the room of the mobs, and then I start the fight with the ancient remnant. And weirdly enough, it was really more easy than I remember. I almost made a no-hit. And on the first try, I got the disc. And then back home, I made a bunch of equipment from the pyramid. On day 32, I made all the equipment possible from the Harbinger, I fought the Remnant again for the other gear I needed, and I went to an ocean monument to get some Prismarine shard for the Eye of the Storm. But I needed diamonds, so I went looking for a cave and found the most perfect Elytra cave I've ever got. And it directed me right in front of diamonds. So then I made the eye and started looking for the structure. And on the way to the Acropolis, I found a pillager outpost, and since I needed totem, I killed some pillagers to start a raid. On day 33, I started a raid at a random village and got 2 totem out of this, then found another Heart of the Sea in a buried treasure. On day 34, on the way to the Acropolis, I found another cursed pyramid 10,000 blocks out. It's good if I ever want more gunpowder. Then, after 14,000 blocks, I saw it uncover in the distance, and I immediately landed and went for the Claudian. He wasn't really a threat with the gear I had, but I immediately got a Spencer and made a portal in his arena. Then I looted the structure and got almost all of what I needed for the collection. Then on day 35, right before fighting Scylla, I found a Riptide Tree book in the chest. This is gonna be really useful for when I fight Leviathan. Then I started a fight with Scylla. And with the reach on the Soul Render plus the Claudine's Claw, it's crazy the reach you can get with this. Most of her attack was not touching me. I could stay back like a ranged weapon, but it was melee. Then after fighting her 2 times, I went back home. On day 36, I enchanted my trident and sorted the loot from the Acropolis. And I made a second set of diamond armor because I need 2 full sets of armor to turn one into Ignitium and the other one into Cursium. Then I went to the end to fight more Ender Guardian and get more Shulker from End Cities. And it's at this point that I'm starting to feel way too strong. I can just float in an End City, not getting damaged at all, and hit every Shulker from across the room. This is getting insane. Then on day 37, I noted there was 3 Rune Citadel within render distance. So I fought 2 other Ender Guardians, and didn't get the music disc. So then I was out of food and headed back home. And back home on day 38, I combined the Gauntlet of Guard with the Sandstorm Bottle to make the Gauntlet of Maelstrom. Then I lost my Villager Breeder to a Lightning. Fortunately, I didn't really needed more villagers. Then I fought the Wither again, and then my next step was to beat Maledictus a few times to get all the Cursium that I need to craft everything. But this took some time because I have to wait for the tomb to activate between each fight. On day 39, I kept fighting him, but my pens were about to break, so I had to bail and go back home. And what I learned from fighting him multiple times is that Maledictus is a legit XP farm. I was getting a lot of level by just killing him. And then I went back home and I crafted all the Cursium weapon and I made all of my armor pieces in Cursium. All I needed now was 3 more fights to get the Cursium block. So on day 40, after a few Maledictus kills, I had enough to leave, and then I began gathering material for my build to store all the items for the collection of Elender's Cataclysm. Then on day 41, I began working on the Shrine of Collection, and I finished right at the end of the day. So on day 42, I started sorting everything I had from Elender's Cataclysm. And this also took the whole day 43 to just lay down everything. On day 44, I was finished sorting all the blocks, and surprisingly, I only needed 4 more blocks to finish every blocks from Elender's Cataclysm. So I started making potion before looking for Ignis. And on day 45, it was finally time. I went in the Nether with the eye, and I found Ignis extremely far away. So after killing the 2 Revenant for their ashes, I started the long-awaited fight with Ignis. I used both my Burning Ashes to kill him 2 times, but since I was very far away, I didn't want to go back and then return here to fight it later, so luckily there was a fortress really nearby so I could farm the Berserker for the Dying Embers. So I spent the whole day 46 farming for Ignited Berserker. I also took the time to make the blazing grip, just because I could, and then I went back on day 47 to fight Ignis 6 times. I even tried 2 at the same time, and this almost went bad, but I managed to kill them. And I also almost died in the lava. And after 6 times, still no music disc. On day 48, I filled the crack in the arena, so I have one less thing to think during the fight, and on the 9th Ignis, I got it. The music disc was finally mine. Then I went looking for a close, fresh soul blacksmith as an easy way to farm the ancient debris and kill the monstrosity. On the way to the soul blacksmith, I did a pit stop at a bastion to get some resources, and then at the end of the day, I found the soul blacksmith. So on day 49, I fought the monstrosity, and unfortunately didn't get the disc again. So I continued on my way back home, and on the way home, by pure dumb luck, I found another soul blacksmith. So I fought the monstrosity again on day 50, and I finally went back home. Then I crafted a bunch of stuff from Ignis, but I ran out of diamond to make more netherite template to craft the Ignitium armor. On day 51, I thought I was over with the Ancient Remnant, but I still needed a third sandstorm in a bottle, so I went and fought him one last time. On day 52, I decided to go for the rarest mob in Ellender's Cataclysm, the Amethyst Crab. So I found a good lush cave and I started doing spawning platform inside the lush cave to increase the chance for them to spawn. So on day 53, I'm still in the lush cave waiting for them to spawn. On day 54, I'm still in the lush cave waiting for them to spawn. So 3 days later, on day 55, I was still in the cave. And I learned that they spawn at full light, so I torched everywhere and I stayed until day 57. So I got tired of waiting for nothing and went back home. But this trip gave me a lot of diamond, so I made the equipment for the Ignitium and I can finally wear my Elytra with my armor. This was peak late game. On day 58, I made 3 more Eye of Monstrous to kill the monstrosity again. And I forgot to record the fight, but I got the disc on the first fight. And then I went to find a sunken city, and on the way to the sunken city, I realized that I can use the soul render as rockets. And this is the reason, if you remember at the start of the video, where I said that the soul render is S tier. You don't need rockets, you can just launch yourself with the soul render. Why did it take me so long to realize that? On day 59, I arrived at the sunken city, but I could not find the door, so I made my own door. Then I proceeded to explore the whole sunken city, making sure to massacre everything. On day 60, I was lacking emeralds to craft more Abyssal Sacrifice, so I called in a raid, got my emeralds, and a few more totems, and then I went back and fought the Leviathan. I had enough Abyssal Sacrifice to only fight her 2 times, which unfortunately didn't get me the disc. But since this was the last boss, I got the Cataclysm's Favor music disc. It was now day 61, and the beginning of another waiting game, because by killing the Leviathan, Sunken City's mobs were now spawning in the ocean, and to fight more of the Leviathan, I needed more Athame and Coral Golem. The only thing is these freaks are not spawning. So I spent the whole day looking for them. And after a full day on day 62, I finally found one coral golem. Then I decided to go to another sunken city because it's faster to go 5,000 blocks than waiting for more to spawn. But of course, on the way, I found 2 priests and more coral golems. And after looting the new sunken city, I went out and found all the coral golems I needed. On day 63, I fought the Leviathan again and got the music disc. I grabbed some tropical fish on the way home for the baby Leviathan, and back home I sorted all the new stuff and prepared to go beat Scylla a bunch of time until I get the disc. And once I got there, I got it first try. Which means only the Ender Guardian is left for the disc. So on day 64, I left for the end to fight the Ender Guardian again. And if you fight the Ender Guardian more than 2 times, it has like an auto cheese system where it will spawn between obsidian and not move, and you can just hit him with the soul render with taking a few or no damage. And after killing it 5 times, no disc. So on day 65, after killing the Ender Guardian 12 times, no disc. Then on day 66, I ran out of shulker shell to make the eye to respawn the Ender Guardian, so I had to explore some more end cities to make more eyes. And then after finding the Ender Guardian 21 times, I got the freaking music disc. With looting 3, it's supposed to be a 30% chance to get the disc. So on day 67, I sorted all the items I had in the chest for the spreadsheet, and then I tamed my baby Leviathan. On day 68, I finally had all the blocks available in survival for Elender's Cataclysm. All I needed now was a few amethyst crab and a sniffer egg to tame my modern remnant. So I went looking for a sniffer egg and found the weirdest spawn for Desert Pyramid. Then in the ocean, I found my egg in the first batch of ruin that I found. All is left now is that dang stupid crab. Then on day 69, nice, I went looking for the amethyst crab, but before wasting multiple hours again, I did a lush cave only world and tried to find them with a command block, and they just don't spawn. So I boosted the spawn rate in the config, and then finally they spawned. So I decided to keep the spawn rate boosted for the sake of my sanity and not waste 50 hours waiting in a cave. Then I killed 2 crab. It was enough. Then I went back to the sunken city to bless my meat. Then I went back home to place the final items in the chest. And I was done. 100% Elender's Cataclysm. That was such a ride. And even though it's not hardcore, I'm happy to say that I did not die once. It was close though. And now that this massive project is over, I want to do it on other mods. Let me know in the comments what you want me to 100%. My next goal might still be Iron Spells and Spellbook, but maybe you have a better suggestion, so let me know. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe. This took so long. It is not my usual type of content, so I hope you appreciated that. And as always, you're awesome. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.